Good afternoon. Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing? I was literally so lazy today. I did nothing. I began to backtest a little bit, but yeah. So today we are backtesting the dump of last year that we had here in February, in March, and a bit in April as well. So yeah, let's get right into it. What we're going to look at today is first of all the higher time frames, and then we will drop down to the lower time frames and see how the market responded in these kind of circumstances. So I can remember vividly how it was like trading that period. It was very, very, very quick movement, and I can remember I missed out on a lot of setups. And yeah, this is what I want to prevent this time, and this is why I want to go back in time and backtest a little bit what we did there, because what we have right now seems very, very similar to what what we had back then. So we're right now on the daily time frame, and when you see this consolidation right here, it reminds me of what we have right now. So as you can see, before we had that consolidation last year, we just went up. And the same thing we had here last year, since April, we just spooled to the upside. Like literally, we barely had any retracements to the downside. So the dump we will have now could be even more drastic than we had back here, because when you see, yes, we spooled to the upside here, but we still had retracements to the downside. Yeah, when we look here, this is more what we see right here, right now. This spool to the upside is with barely any retracements down. So yeah, this is what I'm expecting. ICT also talked about it a lot in his last live streams, that he also is expecting at least until summer, like August. He said he wants to see us before August at these lows right here. Yeah. I'm not answering questions right now. I will answer questions at the end of the live stream. I will just go through the backtesting right now with you and show you a little bit how I backtest. Yeah. But let's look at the daily chart here. So as you can see, as soon as we go and drop, there are not many green candles on the daily time frame. So if we are going to do the same, then we can expect that as well. And I already was drawing out the new week openings on the 1 hour time frame. So let's actually go there. So now we're on the 1 hour time frame. This is what I did all throughout November, December, and a little bit of October as well. I just went back into the charts and backtested a lot, but those that follow me know that. So now we are on the 1 hour time frame. And I love the 1 hour time frame because you can see so much on the 1 hour time frame. And as you can see right here, this is the week before we started to get that huge drop to the downside. So this is what a kind of normal week looks like. We get back to the new week opening a lot of times throughout the week. Well, this was a lot of consolidation we had here, so maybe something like this here it would look like. Yeah. Yeah. But let's see how we respond. So as you can see here, we opened up right at Sunday at 6 p.m. Then we started to just drop to the downside. So one thing we could see right from that we can expect that the weekly candle is not going to do a lot of manipulation. As you can see, we did a manipulation only until 9 a.m. and then we just rolled over on Monday right to the downside. And also, one thing I will look at, the daily highs, they barely got swept. So let's mark them out. Yeah, that's the daily high. As you can see, normally as we trade, or at least how I trade, I want to see huge liquidity sweeps like daily highs or daily lows, depends on if I take longs or shorts. But here we did not get that. We just dropped lower, lower, and lower. Yeah, as you can see, not one single daily high got taken out yet. So this is the first daily high that gets taken out. So here we get a little bit of retracement to the upside. We are in a little bit of an uptrend, but yeah, here we drop down again. So we will look at those sections on the lower time frames where we just drop. Because those are the moments I want to be prepared for. Because guys, we can capitalize off of this so much. Like shorting the markets, that is the most fun ever when it's just going in one direction. I can remember at the time I was telling my brother We could just blindfold our eyes and press the sell button. That's how wild it was. So now we have marked out all the highs where we just dropped lower. And from that point on, we just went to the upside again. So, yeah, as you can see, that was a pretty obvious signature that we will go higher again. That is a crazy candle. I want to measure that move. That was huge. That was freaking 1,000, almost 1,500 points in 1 hour. That is crazy, man. And this is what I mean. There are huge opportunities because the movements we have in such cases, in these situations, in these market conditions, are just insane. And if you're not prepared for them, then you will burn yourself rather than capitalize off of it. And this is exactly the reason why I want to do this. So, perfect. The next thing is we will drop down to the 15 minutes time frame. So let's go to February. Okay, now I'm a little bit lost. Where were we? Oh, there. So, now we'll have a look at every single session at those days. Yeah, one thing we can look at as well are the lows of the previous days, because it seems like we're getting pretty nice rejection from there. So that is the previous day. We'll mark them out in dark blue. Yeah. So we have a rejection off of there. Beautiful. Okay. I will look at every single day separately now. So we opened up here, then that was the Asia session. Then we got a manipulation in the London session above the Asia session highs. And then we opened up at 9:30, and from 9:30 we just spooled to the downside. And this is what I mean with we don't get any crazy manipulation to the upside. Like, we couldn't even reach the pre-market high to manipulate above that. We just spooled to the downside. I actually want to look how that looks on the 1 minute time frame. I'll drop down the 24th of February. So let's go there. Okay. Okay. So that's the high we marked out on the higher time frames. Yeah. So as you can see here, we opened up at 9:30. Not much manipulation to the upside. Like 9:32 was the high, and then we just dropped lower. That is so crazy. I also can remember at that time, I don't know, I don't know if I was already trading IFGs. Because my last strategy that I traded IFGs and order blocks that formed at the level of IFGs on the 1 minute time frame. I'm not going too much into depth here on my last strategy. But I can remember I didn't get much entries at that time, and I missed so many moves, and I remember I started to trade order blocks as well because they were just holding so good on the 1 minute time frame. And this move here reminds me of that, because that was the first bearish order block we formed on the 1 minute time frame. And this is, by the way how you form a strategy. You just go and backtest, and then you decide on what you like. If you like order blocks, if you like FVGs, if you like IFVGs, if you like rejection blocks, if you like turtle soups. Like, it is pretty simple to form a strategy if you're not as obsessed as I am with with precision. Like, I'm at a point where I'm so obsessed with precision in the market that I can't unsee the things that I already know and can't submit to a strategy where it's just, okay, I take IFGs or I take FVGs. No, there's such a precision in the markets. But yeah, so that's the first order block it holds. That's the second order block it holds. Like, things like that in such conditions, it would be so beautiful to trade. Also, if you want to trade order blocks, you can wait for us to, of course, close below the order block. And after that, you can watch how we respond at the order block. And if we only wick inside of it, then that's a signature that it's holding. As well, if we wick inside of it and the candle that wicks inside of it also forms an order block. Like you see here, this one is also an order block and it gets respected. That's crazy. But yeah, let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. So okay. So that was the New York AM session. That was a huge range. Didn't see it. Oh, that's decent. 365 handles. Also, I can imagine that trading the PM session in these conditions is also very fun. Like you see here, the PM session. When I trade the PM session, I always start trading the PM session at 1:30. So we get resistance at the previous day's low. Yeah, I'm going to read this comment now that you just wrote. Damn, the whole time I thought backtesting is that you can't see what will happen next and apply what you learn, so you actually need to observe and study the market. What an enlightenment. Oh my god, that is so beautiful, and praise God for that you just had that enlightenment. Because I actually wanted to do a backtesting video where I go more in depth on how I backtest and what I backtested the last years and what it's all about, because a lot of people, I think, get backtesting completely wrong. Like they're treating it like wishing, or like a casino is my setup going to work out. But I see it rather more like a gathering of data, a gathering of information. And the more information and data you gather, the more you can discover about your edge. Like if you already look at what happened, you can already see if it played out or not. So yeah. But I'm really planning to do more videos like this where I just live stream and go into the charts with you together, because I was thinking to myself, like, this is how I learned everything. I learned everything from ICT. I watched the whole 2022 mentorship from ICT, the 2024 mentorship from ICT, also the core content from ICT. And back then, I was thinking to myself a lot of times that it sucks that his videos take so long and that you have to speed up the video so that you can go through his content more quickly. But he repeated his thought process and how he viewed things so often that it really sticks with you. Like when you watch a 20-minute or 15-minute video on YouTube, it doesn't stick in your head because you only hear it once. But if you hear it repeatedly, that's when the things stick inside of your head. So yeah, maybe I will take on that method as well. And guys, I also love just live streaming and chatting with you. So yeah, maybe I'll change that. But let's get back into it. So now we will mark out the low of the previous day again. The more I see this price action, the more I can remember actually this time of trading. Because I can remember I was expecting like not even crazy liquidity to be swept. Like in a normal market, you would think that liquidity like this right here, like relative equal highs, would get swept, but we just didn't. So this is not actually the high of the day. This is the high of the day. So let's look at it on the 1 minute time frame. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate your nice comments. Really, every time I read a comment from you, from all of you guys, it is really encouraging to keep going, because sometimes I think to myself, why am I doing this? Why not live a private life and don't share anything, and you know. But then I remember the beginning of my trading journey and how I would have wished that I had somebody that explains everything. Okay. So okay. One thing we could say that it is nice in these conditions to even be positioned before the market opens. Not in all cases, but in some cases. Like in this case, we have the pre-market starting from 7 a.m. to the open. Like this is all the pre-market range. And as you can see, we open up at 9:30, and then 9:30 even forms, no, not 9:30, but 9:36 forms the high of the AM session. And then we just drop lower. So you could position yourself in the pre-market, as you can see. If you positioned yourself somewhere around this level here, above the previous day's low, that would have been beautiful. Let's actually get back to the 1 hour and mark out every low, every daily low, because I really see those as nice resistance in the market. So, and you can have them even extended to the next days, as you can see here. But I'm always having 3 of them on my chart. If you watched my video on key levels, then you know that I always have 3 of the previous day's low on my chart, because they are amazing for support and resistance in the market. Here as well. Here. Okay, here it was support rather than resistance. So I will extend it only until here. Beautiful. But still, if we get conditions like this, you still will have me live streaming every day pre-market. So I will outline everything that I see. But yeah, that is how you get a feel for the market. Like, I think it's so important to have a balance between backtesting and forward testing. Because if you only backtest, then yes, you can gather a lot of data, but it's not as productive as forward testing, because when you forward test, you really test yourself in the market and test your edge and how you perform your edge. But if you want to form an edge, then backtesting is very good. And also I think backtesting is very good at getting confidence in your edge, in your strategy. So when you hesitate to enter trades, then just backtest more. So that's that. From here on, we get the retracement to the upside. So those were almost like 1-2 weeks, not 2 weeks kind of, that we got the retracement, and from there we dropped lower again. So let's see. So generally speaking, a good deal is to sell above previous day's low in such conditions. Little retracement again to the upside. But yeah, sometimes you don't even get it anymore to sell above previous day's high, previous day's low. Like you see right here. That is crazy. That is huge. The whole day. 1,300 handles. It is so insane. It's so insane. And here, that is the London session. And then, yeah, AM sessions just dropped as well. Like, no retracement to the upside, not even taking out the pre-market high. That is insane. But yeah, that's the low of this drop lower. Now we have the lows annotated on the chart, and we will go through we'll drop again to the 25th of February. I think we already went there, but I want to see again what we did there exactly. So now we have a look. We opened up 9:30. That would have been the first presented fair value gap. Man, the first presented fair value gaps are also powerful. I can give you, maybe I'll do a whole live stream on those, because I backtested those heavily. And also the correlation with the other two indices, with ES, the first presented FVGs, if they form in sync or not, that tells you a lot. I didn't backtest the correlation with YM so much, but with ES. And yeah. So one signature in price for me also, which is very, very telling. First of all, like I told you before, if we have a key level, like an order block, or right here, the first percented fair value gap, if we just wick inside of it, like we have this candle, and this candle, just wick inside of it. And also, if we close above that and the very next candle closes below it, that is also very telling that we respect this level. Because when you think about it, if we drop higher on a higher time frame, like on the 2 minute or on the 3 minute, then this wouldn't be an up close candle, but it would also just be a wick. So yes. But here again, you can see order blocks perfectly respected. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Like, it's insane. Insane, insane. But yeah, we still get retracements to the upside at the lunch hour. Like, lunch is from 11:30 until 12 or 12:30. So yeah. But just know that the odds are not in your favor if you try to long such conditions. And I will later on also look into the seconds chart, since I now only trade and enter on the seconds chart, on the 15-second chart. So now let's get back to the 15-minute. All right. Okay, here again, if we extend this low, look at the precision. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Every time I see this, just puts a smile on my face. Oh, we traders are so insane. That candlesticks on a chart makes us smile. Well. So let's go to the 1 minute time frame. 26th of February. All right. Oh, look, here we have even a bullish scenario. Let's look at what we did in Asia session and London session. Okay, here we took out the low of Asia session and then we went higher. But overall, looking on a bigger perspective, that was just a retracement to the upside. So yeah, taking longs is also possible in these conditions, but just make sure to not hold them for too long and expect like taking out previous day's high or something like that. Like I really like to hold positions to higher time frame key levels, but in these conditions it's not the best idea. And yeah, instead of taking them up to previous day's highs, just mark out the previous day's lows instead and trade it to those levels. So okay. But you see, this is a very high resistance liquidity run. Like being in this move to the upside, yes, it would have worked out, but man, it's not nice to sit in a trade like in these choppy price action conditions. Like that is ugly. But here again, very beautiful. Only wicked this level and from there just went to the downside. What session was this? Oh, that was the PM session. Yeah, so maybe if we backtest more days, we see that in such conditions, it could be the case if we have just an uptrend and then we reject at a key level in the lunch hour, that we then can short the PM session again. Like there is, yeah, that would have been beautiful. What the freaking, like what? Look at that candle. Oh my god. A 1 minute candle, 270 handles. Oh my god. What is going on in these conditions? That is just insane. Okay. I will summarize after this live stream, at the end of this live stream, what we discovered. Okay, beautiful. Let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. All right. So we just looked at this day. Now we look at the next day. Here we have again the pre-market high holds and the open couldn't take out the pre-market high and we just dropped lower. Again, this is the third instance. So again, a huge day to the downside. So we're really getting a good feel now of the ranges as well. 800 handles in one day. Like in these conditions, if you trade just with one micro, man, you're getting big money. Like you don't have to go insane with your size in the markets. If you know what you're doing, if you just place simple trades, one trade a day, and you hold, or you go in with 2 micros and you take one partial off, and the next you hold a runner and you trail your stop loss, you can make a lot of money with that. So the 27th. 1 minute time frame again. Yeah. Wow, here we even took out liquidity. What a rare case. Let's make that orange. Okay. We opened up a little bit of chop until we formed our first presented FUG. And then we just spooled to the downside, man. This is why I'm going to show you the seconds chart now. Because I think in these conditions, you will have a better entry on the seconds charts for sure. Because we couldn't even trade back to the first presented FUG. That's insane. That's insane. Oh my god. Wild. Like I told you, the order blocks, the order blocks, they hold. They hold. Even here, you see this is the lowest order block. Not the lowest, this is the lowest of this move down. But we even hold it here, you see? Yeah, beautiful. So beautiful. Then we have the lunch hour, just consolidating. And then as soon as PM session starts, again, dropping. Okay. So let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. Now we can see here as well the day we just backtested on the lower time frame. That was the previous day's low. So in the AM session, we dropped to that previous day's low, and then at the PM session, we started to see this low act as resistance. So on days where we didn't spool right after, where did we have it? No, here it was also the case. Here it was, yeah. Like in this case, we started to drop as soon as we opened at 9:30, and only the pre-market could trade above the previous day's low. And then after that, we went higher at the PM session. But in this case, we dropped lower to take out previous day's low, and then at the PM session, we started to see resistance at the previous day's low. So that's important to note as well. So to recap, we can distinguish days where we went above the previous day's low at the pre-market and then just dropped lower, like here. then it's good to just trade the New York AM session to short and then not try to short at the PM session. If we went to the previous day's low at the AM session, then we can short the PM session as well, with taking the previous day's low as resistance. And the third instance is if we went higher at the New York AM session, right to a previous day's low, then we can look for shorts in the PM session in such conditions. So all right. This is Thursday. Okay. No, this is Friday. Wow, that was just consolidating. Okay. Let's go to the 1 minute time frame here. 28th of February. All right. Here 9:30 just dropped lower. And then as well, again, you see the moves we have to the upside are not pretty. Like the day I think it was the day before that day. Like this is Friday, I think on Wednesday. Whenever we have a move to the upside, it's not pretty. That is because we are in a downtrend on the higher time frame. So do not hold the longs for too long in those conditions. And again here, this is previous day's low. If we are below it, we see we can take longs. And if we are above it, then it's higher probability to take the shorts. But that was overall an ugly day. Especially here, the AM session. Afterwards it cleared up. So yeah. So let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. So as you can see here, that was also very, very expecting that Friday will not do anything much more than consolidate after we had such a huge drop the whole week. But this is beautiful though. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of Thank God It's Friday from ICT, but what he says is that if we just have a drop to the downside, a drop to the downside until Thursday, then when we look at the weekly candle, we want to see at least a 30% to the upside to close. If you look at the power of 3, for us to form the wick on the downside on the weekly candle. But let me change the settings here. So no. 0.2 and 0.3. Yeah, that would have been amazing. Yeah, like the rule of thumb is if we drop lower the whole week, we can expect Friday to retrace 20 to 30% of that weekly range to the upside again. And we did it almost exactly. Yeah. So let's have a look at the next day. And like I told you, always look at how the candles respond at the key levels. If you see this already here, let's say we open up at 9:30 right here, and you didn't see all of that price action before we open up, and you look at the previous day's low, which is a key level, how we responded there. This is all already telling you what we will likely have. So we wicked below that once, then we went below that, but afterwards went above it again. We wicked below it a second time, wicked below it, third time, fourth time, wicked below it, then here again. So I wouldn't want to short that because we're having a lot of support at that level. Yeah. So the next day, Monday again, we open up like I told you, and we don't really come back to that new week opening. So that is Monday. We have the manipulation to the upside for the week, not very much, and then we just drop lower and don't come back. That's what conditions like this look like. Again, this is a previous day's low from last week of Wednesday. You could monitor this as well here. We didn't even come back up here. So this is 9:30. So here we were able to take out the pre-market high. Let's have a look on the lower time frames. Also this high right here. So the 3rd of March. Okay. So we opened up 9:30. Then we have our first presented FVG right here. We could say that this is the first presented, but since we have a volume imbalance here, you could take the whole thing right here. Yeah. So as soon as we displace below that, then that could hold, especially after we take out liquidity. Like, that is so beautiful in these cases, that it is so obvious how the manipulation looks like. So I will answer this question. Hi, which method do you use to take trades? ICT, support resistance, or anything else? Yeah, I use ICT concepts still to this day, but I formed my own strategy around that, and my entry mechanism, to say it simply, is turtle soups. But it's very specific turtle soups. But I will go more in depth on that in future videos. Like, you can see, like, this is a turtle soup right here, but this is not what my strategy looks like. Like, I don't take any turtle soup, like every single turtle soup. I take very specific turtle soups. And if I miss the turtle soup entry, then sometimes I also take the order block that forms after that. Is watching ICT 2024 mentorship necessary? Like, can't we just watch ICT 2022 mentorship and his 1 to 12 month core content videos? That's it. Yeah, you can do that as well. Like, it really depends on what you want to trade. I would even say that it's not even necessary to watch all three of them. You can just also watch one of them and form a strategy around that. Like, I can remember I started out watching the ICT 2022 mentorship, and after that I was just trading that and nothing else. I was trading the silver bullet strategy and nothing else. But the more you get into the depth of the market and how it really works, like, you naturally adapt to your with your strategy and start to want to get more precision. It really also depends on how your personality is, because some people are okay with just taking that, but like me, I always wanted to have very precise entries. But yeah, I will also answer the first question in the chat, because I didn't answer that. How do you use first presented FVGs for daily trading setup? Do you consider it while planning your trade setup? Yeah, consider them, but not so much for my entries, but sometimes for my exit. So sometimes I use it to take partials or even take the whole position off there, because they can act as strong support and resistance, especially in the New York AM session, but afterwards as well. But I also use it to tell if we go higher or lower. So if I'm, let's say, bearish and I see that we trade above the first presented FVG, and after that we get strong support there, then I'm not looking for shorts immediately after that, but rather wait for a key level to trade to, or even take out liquidity on the upside, and then look for shorts again. So I kind of use it to determine my bias and the narrative during the AM session. So let's get back into it. So like you have here, like the first presented FEG, we form it. After that, we take out buy side liquidity, and then we immediately drop below it and close below it. So that is so telling that we will continue to the downside. Yeah. But again, we have an order block respected. This is an order block. This didn't get respected because we have an FEG above us. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful moves. Beautiful, beautiful moves. And then again, we just consolidate in the lunch hour, and then at the PM session we drop again. Huge. So that was a little drop to the downside compared to what we did in the PM session. So like I said, the PM session is very, very nice to trade in these conditions as well. London and Asia not so much, to be honest, because they are more likely to make the manipulation for the whole day. So that's good to know. That's good to know. So let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. So here we have a move to the upside, but still a drop in the New York AM session. Okay. Yeah, but we had a drop in the London session already, so that would be telling as well. But we could have still shorted that above the previous day's low right here. But yeah, that's also good to know that there are still moves to the upside. Let's see if this was low resistance, because it doesn't look like it on the lower time frames. Let's go there. Oh wow. Okay, that was ugly. Like, yes, we would have gotten shorts here. Here is the open. That would have been the first presented FEG. Like, guys, I don't use it for my entry, but you see there are so many ways you could trade the markets. So many ways. You could even take the first presented FEG and form a strategy around that. There's so many opportunities. So, but then we dropped. Then we consolidated, and then we got a pretty nice move to the upside. Not as low resistance as the other moves to the upside we had. But like I told you again, you see, we started to go above that key level. And what did we do afterwards? We found support there with the wicks. This is so telling, and this is how I determine key levels if we have support and resistance there. Yes. Oh, that was a huge drop to the downside. I also discovered while backtesting that sometimes the last hour before we close the daily candle could also have pretty nice movements like this one. That's sometimes the case. Yeah, let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. But it's so crazy. You see again, we were right in front of the previous day's high, but we couldn't manage to take it out. So weak. So that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we were consolidating a little bit right there. So that was an inside day. So we couldn't manage to take out previous day's high, and we also couldn't manage to take out previous day's low. And then the next day we just opened up and dropped lower and took out this low right here and this low right here. So whenever you see an inside day like we have right here, this day, then the next day will be low resistance liquidity run to either one direction, or if we are not in conditions like we are in this case, that we are on the very, very strong downtrend on the higher time frames, then sometimes we could even take out the lows, and then after we did that, we take out the highs as well. I backtested that also for a long time. So, but here again, we have a low from here, and we get beautiful resistance right there. That's amazing. And that is also the second half of the New York AM session. Let's have a look on the lower time frames. Let's have a look. Okay. And also, like you see here, we had an inside day, like I just told you. And then we opened up and Asia session just consolidated. But then at the London session, right when we open up the London session at 2:30, we just pulled to the downside and took out previous day's low. And is that? Yeah, that is previous day's low. And also the day before the previous day. Oh no, we stopped right in front of it. Wow, okay. If you see this in the London session, that we spooled to the downside, but we just couldn't take out the previous day's low, man, then you know it's time to short in the AM session. Time to short. We open up, but then you can see we struggle to take that out. So if you would have tried to short this right here, that would have been not good. But then we went above one previous day's low again to get resistance, and then we dropped lower. Yeah. So that would have been even in the lunch hour. Sometimes that's the case as well. I hate those days when you just get a choppy price action at the AM session and then the lunch expands. But yeah, sometimes that's the case as well. Not too often, but sometimes. But sometimes I even sit longer than the New York AM session and also trade into the lunch hour, but not too often. Only if I haven't had any setups and my bias and my drawn liquidity is so strong for me, like it would have been in this case, like this, having this low as a drawn liquidity would have been very, very, very strong. So let's get back to the 15 minutes. Here again, the pre-market would have been the optimal entry. Again, key level, previous day's low. And the PM session would have been longs. Let's look at the AM session here. No, not this one. Okay. Yeah, I think we had 8:30 news right there. For sure. But that is beautiful. That is very telling. If you see this, when you come to the charts at 9:30, to see that this level already acted as resistance right here. We went above it, and right after it, we dropped lower and then wicked above it, that we could use it as resistance again right here. So yeah, but you see again, that is the first presented fair value gap, and that is what I meant before. When we form the first presented fair value gap, and let's say I want to take shorts, but I see this right there. I see the first presented fair value gap form, and right after that, I see this candle displays above it, and the next one we drop into it and just wick into it, and then we expand to the upside. Then I know, yes, I might want to take shorts, but I'm not going to take shorts unless I see the next key level traded to, and from there take shorts, like we see right here. That's a next key level I would wait for, and then I could consider taking shorts again. So yeah, and then we got nice shorts. Again, to the previous day's low. And even if you only hold to the previous day's low, still a pretty nice range to trade. Still 200 handles. So that's nice. So I will do a few more days, and then I will look with you at the seconds chart. So here again we have actually a low resistance liquidity run to the upside in the PM session. Yeah, so be careful to short the PM session if we already took out previous day's low in market conditions like this. Okay, let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. Here again, we open up a new week, and this was the manipulation for the whole week. Like, that is so crazy. Wow, this week was weak. Not the whole week, but the Monday was weak. Wow. Wow. Okay. Let's actually look at this day on the seconds chart. I really want to see that, since that is very, very weak. So let's look at the 15-second chart on this day. So okay, now I'm somewhere completely different. How? Why? Twenty-ninth of March? Guys, I'm confused. Okay, let's do it differently. Let's go... Let's make it like that. Where is it? Man, where is it? Okay, wow. This is why I hate freaking TradeSeller sometimes, because it is so bad with the seconds chart. Okay, let's try again. You know me, guys, I don't give up. Now I fixed everything with the live stream. No, I'm kidding. We just gotta have patience. Why am I... Okay. Now you see. See? Never give up, guys. Never give up. Okay. We look at 12:30. Look. Beautiful. Okay. Beautiful. So we have 9:30. Oh my god. I wouldn't have gotten an entry with my strategy with this one. I wouldn't have gotten an entry. Wow. Okay. So, and sometimes, like in some instances, you really have to get in pre-market, or you don't get an entry at all. Because here you wouldn't have even gotten an order block until we get down there. But after you see this drop, to take a trade, like, no, I wouldn't want to do that. Whoa. It's insane. This is 3 minutes. Yeah, I would have gotten an entry in the pre-market. That's the thing, you could enter at the pre-market, then set your stop loss to break even in case 9:30 wants to stop you out. And if not, then you will have an insane risk to reward. Like with my strategy, my entry would have been my entry would have been here. So I could have just, right before we opened up at 9:30, set the stop loss at break even and then just let it run and do its thing. And then you have beautiful opportunities, you know? Beautiful opportunities. And of course, trail your stop loss and take partials. Very important. But yeah, good to know. Good to know, good to know. Let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. Look, with the 15-minute time frame, it has no problem. Okay. But was I was not looking at this day. I was looking at this day, I think. Okay, now I'm very confused. Yeah. Why am I not getting it? Like, this is 2025. Oh, this is May. Wow. Sometimes I'm a dum-dum. Ah, funny. Okay, now let's look at this day. Not at May, but March. Okay. The 10th of March. But still, we had a nice example. So let's go there at the 15-second. Okay. Now we are at the right one. Yeah. Amazing. This is the day I wanted to look at. Okay. We have 9:30 open. Yeah. I wouldn't have gotten an entry there. Yeah, but I would have gotten an entry there. Yeah, so the second chart, I just love it. I just love it. And here again, we're above previous day's low. Let's see if this is actually the previous day or something different. Okay, and on the second chart, it's not good. Let's go back to the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, this was the previous day's low. This was actually the day before the previous day. And we have, oh yeah, but on the lower time frame, this was the previous day. So again, London would have been a nice short as well. So now I need to extend this one. Okay. Trade seller, don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. Okay. Now. Now it's jumping back. Maybe they built in the bugging of of the software so that traders learn to have patience, you know? Maybe. But here again, we have a low and we have beautiful resistance off of that. Beautiful, beautiful. So now I know there is coming an uptrend a little bit. Yeah, what we already discovered at the beginning of the live stream. And right here we get a drop again. So again, previous day's low. We can sell above it, but still a very choppy day here. And AM session would have been actually a long. If you guys have anything that I should cover regarding to this topic in this live stream, you can also tell me in the chat, because maybe something is very obvious to me and not obvious to you guys. So feel free to ask. Okay. Here we have a pretty nice drop again. Let's go on the 1 minute time frame here on Friday. All right. Yeah, that's beautiful again. We get resistance here before we open up, and then right when we open up, we go and have resistance right at that level again, and only wicket, and that would have been beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I want to see how that looks like on the seconds chart. I want to see March. Let's see if TradeSeller wants to give me what I want to have. It's loading. Nope. Okay. Then we have to do it manually. That's why I always, when I have something on the higher time frames to backtest, I always backtest it on TradingView. I never backtest on that on TradeSeller, because this is what you get when you try to backtest something on the seconds chart. Hello. Okay, let us refresh again. Let's try again. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Beautiful. Alrighty. 9:30, we open up. Wow. The precision. Look at the precision, guys. Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. Maybe I will do a backtesting session. I want to backtest also the first percented FVGs on the seconds chart. I never did that before. I only did that on the 1 minute time frame. I don't know if it's precise, but yeah. How would you trade on this day? Well, that is, yeah, that is challenging, because here we have a lot of chop before we drop lower. So let's go on the 1 minute time frame again, so you always have more clarity on the 1 minute time frame, or even on the higher time frames. Like, since I trade the seconds time frame, the 1 minute time frame for me seems like a higher time frame, but I know it's not a higher time frame. So we can look at the 15-minute time frame. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. You always have to consider higher time frames for your analysis. Always, always, always. So, yeah, what we see right here, we see, this is the previous day's low. We see that this seemed like we get support right here in the Asia session, but we didn't. Afterwards, we see we didn't. Right here we did, yes, but then it gets invalidated. And then we see this huge fair value gap to the downside. And we also see that this huge fair value gap to the downside gets respected here and also gets respected overall here. Like, we didn't close it. We we went inside of it. Yes, we had candles that closed inside of it, but after that we went below it again. So when we open up at 9:30 right here, we can see that this seems like to hold as resistance. It seems like that this fair value gap seems like resistance. And of course, I always have other key levels on my chart as well. But just when you see this, we can say, okay, maybe we take out this high here, but we didn't before we opened up. But before we opened up, we took out this high right here, and we closed below it with a down candle. So what you can have on your chart right here, and what I always have on my chart most of the time when I see on a higher time frame a wick that took out liquidity, I will always have it on my chart like this. Right here we can make 50%, take this off. And now we have the wick right here. Like this would be a rejection block. Like we took out liquidity with this candle and formed a huge wick. Then if we drop down to a lower time frame on that day, you can see that was the 9:15 candle, right? The wick of the 9:15 candle. So the next 15-minute candle opens up at 9:30, and where did we trade to? Exactly to the tick, to the wick of the 15-minute time frame, of the 15-minute candle, the wick of it. There are multiple ways to have a look on the market. Yeah, because what you see on backtesting will look different on forward testing. For sure, this is why it's so important to not only backtest but also to forward test, and to not try to force trades every day. Like, if you wouldn't have gotten any setups in this session on this day, then so be it. Then don't chase the market and just end the day with 0 trades. Or even if you couldn't trade the day like you wanted to and you took a loss, then that's also fine. Like, taking losses doesn't necessarily hinder you from making long-term profits. It's all about the risk management. Yeah. So let's get back to the 15-minute time frame. I have to change this here again. So come on, trade seller. Yes. Nice. Okay. So Wow, that was insane. This move to the downside. Okay. That was Friday. How did the week look like before? Monday opened up, then we had manipulation to the upside throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we had a huge drop. Okay, let's mark that out. This low and this low. Okay, let's have a look at 9:30 here on the seconds chart, the 3rd of April. The 3rd of April. All right. Here we even took out liquidity. Beautiful. But yeah, there wouldn't have been any trades for me. But you see, it's okay. On some days you have trades, on some days you don't. It's completely fine. It's completely fine. But afterwards here, I for sure would have gotten entries. Let's go back to the 1 minute time frame. So I will not do much longer. I will do a few more days. So yeah. If you have any more questions, let me know. Let me know. Oh wow. Like out of nowhere, the London session completely expands to the downside. But then again, we still have shorts at the AM session. But yeah, that's so good to know that in these instances, yes, there are days where we just spool to the downside, but there are also still cases where we get retracements, reasonable retracements to the upside. The only thing to note is really that we barely take out previous day's highs, and we can expect to not take them out and to not take out all the key levels on the higher time frames to drop lower. So that's good to know. And now we can also have a look, like I will give you a little bit of an expectation or a little bit of an analysis what we could see throughout the next weeks. So let's go to the 1 hour chart. So now we are back to where we are currently. Yeah, I should switch to TradingView to see the whole chart, but it's not necessary because I can tell you where we are currently. But let's have a look at the daily. So, as I have told you at the beginning of the live stream, it is very, very similar to 2025 in January and December of 2024. We had a consolidation on the daily time frame, and we are doing the same thing right here. And before that, we had an expansion to the upside. This is why we backtested this whole move to the downside today. So the next drawn liquidity on Nasdaq for me on the higher time frames would be this low right here. On Friday, we, I think, went right to the open of this Monday. So this is where we are currently. And this is why I wanted to do this live stream today, because I think as soon as we close on the daily time frame below one of these lows, like below this low, below that low, or even below this low, then we could see very quick expansion to the downside and take out this low right here. And the next ones would be these lows right here. They are relative equal lows. And I could see us go even to this level right here, which would be these highs right there. So yeah, this is what I'm looking for in the next few months. But now I would say we are good prepared for that. We could also have a look quickly here on the daily chart. You could see even on the daily chart, you can monitor the order blocks as well when we have a drop like this on the higher time frames. Especially if we have a short-term retracement to the upside, to always watch the order blocks on the higher time frame, and if we respect them. Also, if we look at this range here, this would be 50% of this range. So this is very possible for us to trade here in the next month. But yeah, now we are prepared, and I will stay with you a few more minutes, and you can ask me questions, and if there are not any questions, then I will leave in a few minutes. I think now we did 1 hour. Man, this was such a long live stream. How can ICT live stream for 2 or 3 hours, man? And I was looking at I was watching all of his live streams back then. Crazy. But yeah. Yeah. So let's actually have a look at ES and YM as well. But I think, let me do something. No, I think I can't. Yeah, no, I have to do a whole new create session NQ ES YM. NQ Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to do now. ES YM. Okay. Let's go on the daily. This is so crazy to look at charts with green and red candles. It's really crazy. Okay. Okay. So yeah, on YM, the next levels I'm looking for are these lows right here. They are relative equal, so have them on your chart. Then on ES, it would be this low right here, have them on your chart as well. And on NQ, I already told you. This low right here, and these lows right there. But yeah, I will end this live stream right now. I will let you know as soon as I think we will start to get into very heavy price action on my daily pre-market analysis live streams. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys on Monday again. Have a beautiful rest of a weekend. I will now go into the sauna because today is a very lazy day for me. And yeah, if you want to see me live stream tomorrow again, then check out my other YouTube channel where I talk about God and preach the word. And other than that, if you don't want to, then we will see us again on Monday. Bye bye.